Welcome into episode 139 of the Kennel, a Cleveland football podcast. We are breaking down the Cleveland Browns Monday Night Football with the Baltimore Ravens coming into town. Stevie James, Gian Trotta, what's up, brother?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I couldn't be more excited, but also nervous for this game.
Lots of nerves.
Yeah, big game. We're going to get into it today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Football Kennel. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, leave a comment, anything you can do to interact on YouTube. Why don't you just go ahead and do that?
It would really help us out a lot if you did all of those things or a combination of any of those things or even just one of those things. And also, you talked about social media. We'll talk about the episode today. Of course, we're going to break down the game against the Ravens. Huge game for the playoffs, for the AFC North. And then we'll go over quick predicts, our hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts for Week 14. We have some fun ones this time. Let's get started.
Oh, and one quick note. The best way to help out the show is to just share it with friends or on the internet. Yes, that's the best thing you can do.
And your family and strangers in the street,
definitely.
Homeless people.
Yes, homeless people, if they have a smart
listening
phone,
devices.
They probably do, right?
Yeah, Obama phone.
Gotcha. Okay, enough panhandling. Let's break down this game.
Let's do it.
Game preview. 180. What's up?
The Ravens are coming to Cleveland for the rematch, a chance at redemption for the Cleveland Browns after getting decimated by the Baltimore Ratbirds when we went over there. Week 1, right? That was week 1?
Yeah, really great way to start the season.
We watched that game at the bar, the Buffalo Wild Wings. That was good times.
Was that the one?
That was the one.
We did a couple. We did the Cowboys.
And then,
that was really fun.
Yep. And then we did the
Ravens week 1?
Ravens week 1 was when you first installed those things.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because they had to be installed before the season started. That was a really depressing game. I think it was 38-6 or something terrible that we don't want to remember in Baltimore.
But how the turn tables.
The turn has tables. We're 9-3. The Ravens are 7-5. We're in the top spot for the wild card.
They did just destroy the Cowboys, but the Cowboys' defense is horrible.
Yeah, and they didn't, honestly, I watched most of that game, and they didn't look great.
Well, they rushed for like a ridiculous amount of yards overall.
But not as many as we did. They rushed for less yards against the Cowboys than we did.
Is that possible?
That is possible. That's literally what happened. So we're
but
still
better. But they rushed for so many.
Yeah, but we rushed for like over 300 yards in that game.
Did we?
Oh yeah, that was an insane game.
I feel like they did too. We got to double check that.
No, I know for a fact 'cause I heard it on the radio today.
All right, the radio is all known. I believe you. I
didn't make it up.
That's fair. I was just like writing down their stats against the Cowboys, and man, it was rough. They did a lot. So I guess let's start with the Ravens offense, and their biggest skill is offensively is obviously rushing the football. They actually just overtook us for number 1 rushing team after they faced the Cowboys because, like I said, they ran all over them. The Cowboys, in their defense, have the worst rushing defense in the league currently, but the Ravens have the number 1 rushing offense right now, averaging 169 yards per game. Yeah, yards per game, and they have a myriad of people that are able to do it. Obviously, it starts with Lamar Jackson, who had 13 rushes for 94 yards and a touchdown against the Cowboys, averaging 7.2 yards per carry. On the year, he has 107 carries for... Nope. I'm reading this wrong. That was his passing yards on the year. Rushing.
With Lamar, it's hard to.
It really is hard to tell. He only passed for 107 yards, had 2 touchdowns, a solo interception against the Cowboys. On the year, though, he's ran the ball 116 times for 669 yards, adding 4 rushing touchdowns to his 17 passing touchdowns. So, rushing, they're great. Passing, they're the worst team in the league.
Literally.
That's kind of where they're at. Yep. It's literally first and then 32nd. So obviously, the offensive dynamic is very one-sided. They just rush the ball. They do it well. They do it with Lamar Jackson. They do it with Gus Edwards, who had 101 yards on 7 rushes against the Cowboys, averaging a ridiculous 14.4 yards per carry. And then J.K. Dobbins, who had his own 11 rushes for 71 yards, still averaging about 6.5 yards per carry. So elite numbers, had the touchdown against the Cowboys as well. And then behind him, Mark Ingram, who is, in another team, I would believe he'd be a starter or like the reliable number 2 in a 1-2 punch. And they're still utilizing him. He only had 6 rushes, but still had 28 yards, which puts him at a pretty decent 4.7 yards per carry. He ran better, obviously less carries, but ran better than Derrick Henry did against us.
Yeah, Mark Ingram's been relegated to the third back. It goes J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram in that order. I think you'll see him get used more, potentially in this game and down the rest of the regular season into the playoffs, him being a veteran, but I think his best days are definitely behind him. And I did want to confirm that the Browns ran for 307 yards against the Cowboys, while the Ravens ran for 294 yards against the Cowboys.
I thought we were talking about the Titans, how much we ran against the Titans compared to them.
No, I was comparing Cowboys.
Gotcha.
Because the Cowboys have the worst run defense. So
right.
Just to give
makes
a perspective.
Makes sense.
And the Ravens actually lost the time of possession against the Cowboys while we dominated it. So we're better. That's all. Just wanted to make sure.
The Cowboys did have a couple turnovers on Lamar and company. So they were able to do that and kind of... But defensively, the Ravens were really able to hold Andy Dalton and the Cowboys to pretty much a nothing burger. So they won that game.
Yeah, and this Ravens defense is still legitimate. I want to get into it, but really quick before I forget, I want to touch on the injury report super quickly. Couple main guys for us right now. I mean, the offensive line is still a little beat up with Jack Conklin, J.C. Treader, and
that's it.
That's it. The two of them. Oh, that's right. Wyatt Teller's supposed to be coming off the COVID reserve thing or whatever, because he was a close contact, but he's supposed to be able to be good to go.
Okay,
but he's not on the injury report, but he's supposed to be good to go. So Jack Conklin, J.C. Treader, both limited participants, but they're fully expected to go. Austin Hooper has not been practicing. He's got some kind of neck injury. Haven't been following that super closely. Kadarius Hodge probably not going to play on Sunday.
Same for Denzel Ward, still dealing with that calf issue.
Yeah. Kevin Stefanski hasn't completely ruled out Denzel Ward yet, but he said he can't really put a percentage on it, but he has made the point to say that he has not ruled him out yet. So,
okay. Fair.
So we'll see. I don't want him to rush into anything. On the Ravens side of things, a few notable guys. The main ones being Calais Campbell, who always is a pain in the ass. He hasn't practiced all week. If you look at Pernell McPhee, who's a nice linebacker for them, he hasn't practiced. Two of their top corners, Marcus Peters and Jimmy Smith, haven't practiced. Well, Jimmy Smith was limited on Friday, so they're getting some of those guys back.
Wow, they have Tramon Williams. Remember him?
Yep. Derek Wolfe still hasn't practiced, so they're definitely we're getting healthier. They're still pretty beat up, but they are getting a lot of guys back. Obviously, they had all the crazy stuff with COVID happen, where they missed Lamar Jackson for a game or two, and all the different stuff they had to deal with. So they're getting healthier, and the Ravens are nothing to sneeze at. But I wanted to bring up their defense because one knock that. Well, the national media is always moving the goalposts with the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield and everything. But one legitimate knock that you can say is the Titans going into the game against the Browns were 31st in the NFL, generating pressure on the quarterback in one of the worst teams against play action. These are things that we excel with. So in the game against the Titans, Baker Mayfield was pressured on like 3% of his dropbacks, which was the second lowest rate of pressure by a quarterback in the NFL this season. And we all know that Baker Mayfield does a lot better without pressure and a lot worse under pressure. Now, going against the Ravens, the reason I set the stage like that, going against the Ravens, they are the fourth best team in the NFL at pressuring the quarterback. So we've seen it before. When Baker Mayfield's under pressure, when guys are jumping up and getting in his throwing lanes, when he's dealing with tight man coverage on the outside, with linebackers playing like shallow zone in the middle of the field, that's when he tends to struggle. That's when he tends to throw interceptions. So this Ravens matchup is a really, really tough challenge for Baker, this offense, and this is a huge measuring stick of where this offense really is at this point in the season.
Yeah, how good are they, and what kind of challenges can they overcome? Of course, that's always been the knock this entire season, is we haven't really played good teams. The Titans and the Colts would be our only exception to that in terms of winning, obviously. And the Ravens are, I would say, our biggest challenge to date so far. The Titans obviously was a huge victory. It was a huge step forward. We obviously let them come back at the end there, get a lot closer than either of us or any of us would have liked. But against the Ravens, this is a true test, offensively and defensively, obviously, because of their ability to rush the football. Passing, not so much, but our passing defense really isn't that great. I would argue our defense is kind of middle of the road, worse at the pass, better at the run. But you talk about this all the time. Why do teams have to run if they can just pass it on us, like we're Swiss cheese and they're just finding all the holes?
And when teams have committed to the run against us, they have had success. While not a lot of big plays, but if you look at the Raiders game with Brandon Jacobs, if you look at the Jaguars game where they really committed to running with James Robinson, they were able to move the ball against us. Now, we had a great showing against Derrick Henry.
That's what I was going to say. I would say can't take away that credit. I know, obviously, we had a huge lead going into the half, which it made Tannehill have to throw the ball like crazy. We did allow him 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, the single interception, 104.8 QB rating. So that is not good.
Yeah, not ideal. So the defense has its work cut out for us.
But if we can stop the run and we force Lamar to throw, he's not going to be capable of pulling these kinds of numbers.
Well, this is the same deal that we've said this a million times, almost every episode now, that the Brown strategy is to get ahead early and then use the running game to control the clock. And the Ravens are not a team that are designed to come back when they're down early. They can't. What Ryan Tannehill did, slinging the ball over the field, that's not something that Lamar Jackson is really set up to do.
Yeah.
He can beat you in other ways with his legs. A lot of people, especially Browns fans, like to hate on Lamar Jackson and everything. You and I still think that Lamar Jackson is a really good quarterback and a really significant threat.
I mean, he went 20 of 25, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 152.1 rating against us in week 1.
Yeah, it was not a good look. So I'm not sleeping on this Ravens offense, and not just the running game. I think Lamar Jackson can throw the ball, can use his legs, and is a legitimate threat who can put points on the board like a motherfucker. Now, with that being said, if we're able to get up by a couple scores or 38-7 at halftime, I don't think he's able to generate the scoring at the same rate that Tannehill was able to with his big receivers on the outside. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Ravens are set up that way. I don't think Lamar Jackson is set up that way. So I think getting a lead early is going to give us a big advantage, but that's going to be difficult to do because this Ravens defense is third in points allowed per game, allowing just under 20 points per game. So it's not easy to move the ball on the Ravens. It's not easy to score on the Ravens. They're good at forcing pressure and turnovers, and we all know, and we talked about this in the Ravens game, the beginning of the year, in the Steelers game, because they hurt us too. Both those teams, what screwed us up in those games more than anything is obviously we weren't able to get a rhythm on offense, and Baker had a struggle, sure. But the thing that's most noticeable in those games is that they beat us physically and with their intensity. Mm-hmm. We have to, especially on Monday night, especially in our own stadium, we have to not just match that intensity. We have to be the ones.
We have to punch them in the mouth.
We have to be the ones that are setting the standard. Now, with that being said, from a game plan standpoint, I don't think this is a game where we come out and run the ball immediately. I think we do the same thing that we saw against the Colts, that we saw against the Titans, where Baker Mayfield is going to come out the game
slinging the ball. That's a fair point. And I you touched on the Ravens defense and their prowess and how good they are. I totally agree. They're going to be our biggest challenge, especially offense to defense. But just looking at statistically, they don't really differ much from us. In terms of turnovers, in terms of sacks, we have more interceptions. We have 1 less forced fumble, more turnovers total. We have 30 sacks, 2 more than they do. They're at 28. In terms of rushing yards allowed, they're at 13th. We're at 8th. There's our yards per carry average. We're at 11th. They're at 18th. The only thing they beat us out at is obviously the big discrepancy there with points allowed. They're at 19.3, third in the league currently. We're at 26.8, 22nd in the league. And then the passing defense, where we're middle of the road to bottom of the list, and they are up there. I would say they're average at 14th, allowing an average QB rating of 89.3, which is 9th. So top 10 in that category. But overall passing defense, I would put them maybe top 15, top 20. Overall as a defense, though, I would argue they're top 10, maybe even peaking at top 5.
Yeah, and they always have been. They're extremely athletic on defense. They're extremely disciplined, well coached, and the biggest thing, I'll say it again, is just the intensity. And the Ravens and Steelers always get up to play the Browns, and historically over the past 20 years, the Browns have not matched that level of physicality.
We did beat them once last year.
No,
and
we
I
did.
believe we did that. We beat them. Didn't we beat them twice? Baker's rookie year.
No, Baker has split against the Ravens each year.
Okay.
So he had a 300-plus yard passing game, that overtime win against the Ravens his rookie year. Last year we blew out the Ravens the first time we played them, and that was a game in which we matched their intensity. We were throwing the punches. So this is a game in which we really need to come out swinging, and whether that's, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some trick plays, some gadget plays early in the game, maybe some
test their eyes a little bit.
Yeah, some reverses. We always run a lot of motion, which helps a lot, but I still think that the Browns are really showing their identity, where they like to throw to set up the pass and wear down a defense and really let the running game get crazy tail half of the third quarter and through the fourth quarter. Now, with that being said, I don't think it's after watching a lot more of the game and everything, the Titans game, and even going back to the Colts game, I don't think it's as black and white where Stefanski and Van Pelt in the offense goes, we're going to come out throwing a lot. I think what they do is they still run early in the game. It's about 50-50 with the run and the pass, and then based on how the defense's reaction, I think dictates where they go from there. So we saw early in the Titans game that they're putting 8-9 guys in the box, and they are committed to stopping the run. The Titans made the decision, all right, Baker Mayfield, you beat us. We're gonna sell out to stop the run. We're gonna limit this running attack, and if Baker Mayfield's able to beat us, fine. And Baker Mayfield beat him. So I don't think they came into that game like, we're gonna throw like crazy. I think they came into the game and they're like, okay, the Titans are selling out for the run. Let's light it up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I think if we come out and the Ravens aren't selling out, aren't biting on the play action, are playing like they've been successful against the Browns, which is shallow linebackers, man-to-man on the outside. If they're playing that style of defense, then I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do pound the ball. So when you have a coach like Stefanski who's malleable, who can make changes on the fly, who can adjust his game plan, I think that's what he's trying to do. He's waiting to see what the defense is going to give him, then he's going to exploit that. So I can't really predict what the Browns are going to do on offense without knowing what the Ravens are going to do on defense. And that's the beautiful thing, because every Browns coach ever has just been set in his ways. He's like, this is our game plan. We're going to come in, and that's what and whether it's working or not, we're just going to keep doing it. Where I think Stefanski has this offense set up in a way to where if the play action's working, we're going to run more play action. If we're moving the ball on the ground, he's not going to stop running the ball. If we're able to generate big plays in the passing game, he's going to be aggressive and keep tacking down the field. So that's something you really like to see. And I think this Browns team, comparing where we were in Week 1 against the Ravens to where we are now, it's a completely different team. It's totally completely night and day. Couldn't be different. And you can argue the Browns are trending up, not just in terms of record, but in terms of play on the field. The Browns are trending up. The Ravens are trending down. So this is a really good time for us to match up on Monday Night Football. But the final point I want to make in this rant really quick is a lot of Browns fans are complaining about the national media and people doubting the Browns and all this different stuff. Well, this is the game. This is on national television. Everyone's going to be watching. This is the game where we have to come out, not lay an egg.
The lights are on.
Play hard as shit and prove what us all Browns fans believe. This is the game where we have to come out and prove that the Browns are for real.
That we're America's team.
Yeah, speaking of being America's team, you guys have all probably heard, but the Browns-Giants game got flexed into Sunday night primetime. They flexed out the Cowboys and flexed in the Browns. Mm-hmm. It's the first time in like 15 years the Cowboys have been flexed out of a primetime spot, and probably the first time ever the Browns have been flexed into one. I think it happened, I don't know.
Not last season, but the season before that.
Yeah, I think Baker's rookie year we might have got flexed in. But moral of the story is it might as well.
Didn't we flex the
never happened.
The Broncos game, wasn't that a flex?
Yeah, I think that was one
with the Jabril Peppers sack at the end to win it. I think that was on Case Keenum.
Yeah, it was, ironically or coincidentally, whatever. But yeah. So more of the story though, it's extremely rare. So the Cowboys getting flexed out, us getting flexed in, 2020 is insane.
It would be this year, wouldn't it? It would be this year.
Of course. I was imagining making a meme where it's like a graph, 2 line graphs, and one of them is like COVID cases and the other is Browns wins. And they're like, and then like a dude's face like sweating.
Yeah, oh gosh.
That's probably not funny, but I don't know. It's that's kind of the situation that we're dealing with right now. So I don't know.
Well, it's like the cartoon that went viral like around week 6 or 7, something like that. That it was like the dude sitting on the couch drinking a beer with a Brown shirt on, watching the game, and it was like 2019, and he's like, the Browns will never be good, only when the world ends. And then it flips over to like the guy in his living room, the window outside. There's like the little COVID viruses like floating on the window, and the world is on fire, and he's like. Sweat, like what? Same thing, sitting on his couch with a beer, and it's like the Browns are 6 whatever, and he's just like, oh, crap.
Yeah, no, it's a weird time. And one thing I want to talk about too, when we were doing our last episode, the Steelers were playing as we were recording. The Steelers ended up losing
to the Washington football team,
a team we beat by 2 scores. By the way, just wanted to put that out there.
And they're trending down, I would say. And they, by the way, they opened the door for us to potentially, maybe.
And some Browns players were tweeting about it and everything, and
the AFC North.
And it was funny because Mary Kay Cabot was like really trying to push Kevin Stefanski about like the players tweeting and this and this and this about like how they're looking too far ahead and like just trying to create Mary Kay drama like she does. And Stefanski just kept being like, the players are adults, they can say whatever they want. Thank God I don't have social media. I don't care. And I was like, yes, that's Kevin Stefanski, always even keel. So
that's
awesome.
The right answer.
But anyways, if you look at it realistically, we would need the Steelers to lose 2 out of their next 3 games to fall to 11-3, and we are 12-3 by the time they get to the last game of the season, and we would be 12-3 as well. And if that were the case, we would then be playing
for the crown
of the AFC North, which is kind of like, I don't know, seems impossible. But who knows? Like but who knows this year?
Really unlikely, but wouldn't say impossible. I think they opened the door.
Well, and if you look at the Steelers' schedule, they're playing the Bills this week.
Totally possible.
Then they play the Bengals, so they'll probably win that. And then they're playing the Colts.
Could be possible.
And then us. So the Bills and Colts both have legitimate chances of beating the Steelers. And if that's the case, all of a sudden, but again, we also have to win out. We have this Ravens game, which is a huge test. The Giants are on a 4-game winning streak. They've been playing a lot better. And then there's the Jets.
Bills have beaten good teams. I mean, they beat the Rams.
The Bills are very good. They had the same record as us.
They did not beat the Chiefs.
They had the same record as us. Very good team.
Beat the Patriots. They beat the Seahawks.
But like Kevin Stefanski says, we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. I mean, we have to beat the Ravens. We have to beat the Giants, who are trending up. And then the Jets game terrifies me. If the Jets are winless and we're playing them, it's just scary. Because
it's the right recipe for a trap game.
Yeah, because we were winless, and facing a winless team that late in the season, it just makes me all kinds of nervous. I'm glad we have Kevin Stefanski that takes everything seriously. And we have guys who went on a winless team who are going to be like, yo, like...
These guys are going to try to win.
Yeah, like...
Can't take them...
Yeah, exactly.
Can't not take them seriously.
So even if things don't work out that way, and we end up facing the Steelers for the AFC North crown, that's fine. I mean, we're in firm control of the wild card spot. And it's crazy, too, because if you're looking at this game, us being 9-3 and the Ravens being 7-5, even if the Ravens were to win, we're still a game up on them, which is... That's the lead that we've been able to build up in this wild card spot, which is insane. But I don't know, man. I don't want to like jinx anything, but I feel good about this game.
I am a little nervous.
There are the nerves. I'm not going to deny.
But I also think it's a totally winnable game, and it comes down to what you said earlier. This is it. This is the real test. This is the chance for Baker Mayfield to basically slap the haters in the face. If he performs well against a team that's great at creating pressure, it's definitely that type of game for him to excel and put himself out there as the franchise quarterback. Really define that legacy. Obviously, he has for us, but this would be a huge game for him to win. And then obviously for us defensively as well, it would prove the haters wrong. A lot of the national media, a lot of the haters out there saying our defense is bad, and even us saying that, you know, if you pass the ball on our defense, you don't need to run on them, and that's why the rush is bad. The rush defense. Well, prove us wrong. Stop them against the rush. Stop them against the pass. Don't let Lamar Jackson come back through the air and get a defining lead against the Ravens on Monday Night Football. That would be huge for the Cleveland Browns. Any final thoughts before we go into our quick predicts for Week 14?
No, we've covered a lot of it. I'm sure, like with every episode, we'll get done and I'll be like, I meant to talk about these 5 things I didn't write down.
It's 20 points I forgot to bring up.
Well, one random thing, we probably should have done a quick bites segment in hindsight, but Rashard Higgins is allegedly they're talking contract extension with Rashard Higgins.
Wouldn't surprise me. He deserves it.
Yeah, that's the word on the street that's been reported is they're working on a contract extension. So I would love that.
I would love that as well. Well, we did have a quick predicts about him getting an extension, so it's almost like we know what we're doing.
Did we? We did that?
We did do that, yes.
A quick predict?
No, a quick bite.
Oh, a quick bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah, we did a little clips episode and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're just super ahead of the curve. That's all.
Way ahead of the curve.
That's all.
We were talking about it before they were talking about it.
Well, speaking of making predictions or having quick bites or segments or whatever, I'm segueing into hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts is my point. So we're going to do that now.
Fire away.
Quick Predicts.
Hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts. Make sure you use the hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts. Tweet at us your Kennel Quick Predicts to participate, get some points, use it as Bitcoin currency or whatever.
Cryptocurrency.
Yes. That's the one.
Yes. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can just comment below the video with your quick predicts.
We'll find them.
The quick predicts will be in the description, so you can copy and paste. If you're on Twitter, they'll be
on the Twitter thread.
Yeah, they'll be the reply to our pinned tweet with this episode on it. If you're listening to this before I tweeted about it, then you're just gonna have to wait a minute.
It's gonna get
or just write them down. Yeah, if you're really dedicated,
proactive, whatever you want to do.
If you're really good. So, without further ado, the first one that we always start out with forever is Myles Garrett sacks.
The most important one, Myles Garrett sacks.
How many sacks we have in this game? I'm going to go big game for Myles Garrett. I think we have Lamar Jackson running around all day, which I'll bring up a couple of predicts from now. And I think he ends up at 2 sacks, including a strip, because I don't think Lamar Jackson is good at taking care of the football.
Hey, I like to hear it, and I actually agree. I think he's going to have 2 sacks. It's a 2-sack game for Mr. Myles Garrett.
I'd like that a lot. So, adding to my point about I think Lamar Jackson's going to be running around a lot in this game.
Perfect segue.
Lamar Jackson over under 60 rushing yards. I am going to go over, not because I believe he's going to have some dominant game with us. I just think it's going to be a game in which the Browns are able to produce on offense, are able to jump out to some kind of a lead, and the Ravens are forced to scramble, pun intended, which leads to Lamar Jackson scrambling around for over 60 yards in this game.
I'm going to go under. I believe that the Browns have been great so far at scheming and trying to take away the best thing that a team has to offer when it comes to the defense against the offense. And we did that specifically against the Titans just this last week by holding Derrick Henry well below his average. So I'm going to say under. 60 rushing yards is Lamar Jackson's average. I think we keep him under. I think we do a good job of scheming him away, and the Ravens have to figure out a way to win the game without rushing the ball a bunch of times with Lamar Jackson.
Speaking of rushing, the next quick predict, who's going to have more rushing yards, the Browns or the Ravens? The Ravens are the number 1 rushing offense. The Browns are the number 2 rushing offense, and it's a very close margin between the two of them.
Yeah, we just had it last week. So.
Yeah, so we've been kind of going back and forth on the year. We'll see who gets it at the end of the season, but for this game...
Could be the Titans, because I think they're third.
Yeah, they're right there, but really, you could say whoever...
They were second before. So.
Yeah, whoever has more rushing yards in this game has a pretty legitimate shot at...
taking that crown. Absolutely.
So, who's it going to be? I'm going, of course, Browns. I think the Browns are able to get ahead early in this game. I think we're able to pound the rock. I'm having visions of when Nick Chubb had 160 yards, 3 touchdowns against the Ravens last year, including not 188-yard run, an 88-yard run against them on the toss sweep. I think he's hungry for some more. He was limited last game against the Titans to only 80 yards on 18 carries, 4.4 yards per carry, along with the touchdown, which to Nick Chubb standards is
below average.
Is definitely below average. So
he's averaging about 100 yards per game.
Yep,
right
literally exactly 100 yards per game, over 6 yards per carry still, and I want to see him finish the season with over 6 yards per carry. I think that'd be really powerful.
It'd be sick, yeah.
I think he knows what this game is. Monday Night Football, he's going to be fired up and ready to run, and I think he has a big game in this game, so I'm going to go with the Browns rushing for more than the Ravens.
I'm going to go with the Browns as well, mostly as an emotional decision. I think the Browns I want them to have the crown, so I want them to retain number 1, being the number 1 rushing offense, and the only way to do that is to outrun the Ravens in this coming game on Monday Night Football.
Nothing wrong with balancing out, some logic and emotion. I mean, what's the fun of
having a Browns podcast if you're not going to get a little emotional?
Yeah,
right?
What the hell? What's the point here?
Next quick predict, we're going to go over to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, over under 1 turnover. I think it's pivotal this game, obviously, that he protects the football. It's one of the most important games for him to do that. The Ravens are great at generating turnovers, generating pressure, causing quarterbacks to be sloppy with that football. So, what are you thinking?
Well, Baker Mayfield is the active leader for consecutive passes without an interception. Currently in the NFL, I think he's over 150 passes now without an interception, 7 on the year. He's only fumbled twice this year, so even that aspect of things has been very minimal. And, I was thinking about this. I was like, Ravens, he always kind of struggles against them. But this is a new Browns team, a new Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski, Van Pelt, Baker. Everyone has put a great deal of attention in not turning over the ball. And aside from making those, risky throws, Baker Mayfield has been blisteringly accurate. He was accurate on over 90% of his throws against the Tennessee Titans. That doesn't mean completion percentage, just accuracy of the throws. Over 90% in that game. So he's playing extremely accurate. He's playing extremely confident. And I think in this game, he continues the streak, and he has no turnovers on Monday night, primetime football, and shows the world that Baker Mayfield is real fucking deal, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I do disagree. What am I talking about? My quick predict is different than yours, but I also think it's pivotal, and he has done a really good job at taking care of the football, and obviously one of the most important aspects of this game coming into Monday Night Football. I think he goes even. I think the Ravens are really challenging, put a lot of pressure on him, and he just has like a sloppy play or a tipped pass that goes for an interception. We regret to see it. We move on, and then we win the game. Well, we'll find out if we win the game or not here in our next quick predict.
The final quick predict, the score prediction, the second most important prediction of Kennel Quick Predicts, first being Myles, Garrett, Sacks.
Absolutely.
But the score prediction, extremely important. This game, Browns and Ravens, I'll go first. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to
Super tight.
I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be a very physical game. I do think it's a game that the Browns are able to get a lead on, but I think the Ravens are going to be able to compete in the fourth quarter because all the teams we've been playing are able to compete against us in the fourth quarter, and that makes it closer than we want it to be. And I'm going to go 27-24 Browns, Monday Night Football.
That's not bad. Not bad. I'm going to go with a similar prediction, but I'm going to give the margin of victory for the Browns, give them a little bit more of a margin of victory. I think the Browns get the early lead, the Ravens fight back, then it's kind of really close, and then the Browns overtake them late in the game. That's what I want to see. I want to see a game where we take over in the fourth quarter, overcome adversity, and beat them at their own game by rushing the football straight into their end zone and down their throats. Browns 36, Ravens 28.
Love it. Of course, per usual, we always predict a win. Going back to our season prediction before the season started, we both predicted a win for this game. We predicted a win the rest of the way out. So we're going to continue to predict wins for the Browns.
Wins. But credit to you. If we beat the Ravens, the Browns are 10-3,
which is
right on par with what you said. I said at this point in the season we would beat the Browns, but we were 8-5.
Beat the Ravens.
Or I'm sorry, we would beat the Ravens, but we would be 8-5. So
perfect. Well, let's keep winning the games. Let's keep pushing towards the playoffs, but one game at a time. Kevin Stefanski, my bad, not trying to look too far ahead. We're going to keep that going, and it feels good. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever. Again, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Turn on the notification bell. If you're listening on your podcast app, do whatever the podcast app wants you to do to stay in touch.
Rate us 5 stars on Apple iTunes. That's a big one.
Yeah, follow us on Spotify or something. If you
that too.
I don't know if you can rate on there, but I think following helps. So follow whatever. And biggest thing you can do is tell your friends, share it on the internet.
Tell all Browns fans you know.
Yep. If you enjoyed this episode, send it to someone that would go a long way. So
someone who wants to know a little bit more about the upcoming game and the challenges the Browns have to face. How about that?
That sounds nice.
There you go.
That sounds real nice. Cool.
And then maybe they want to have a good time, and maybe they don't mind that we say bad words.
Yeah, and maybe they enjoy 2 young
studs.
Yeah, that's right.
Go
In
Browns.
which case, maybe send them somewhere else. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's us. That's right.
Good looking guys.
That's right. Anyways, go
Cleveland.
Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.